Hello everyone, I'm Siddhesh, I'm an aerospace engineer, and welcome to my channel. This is my very first video, and I'm excited to launch a new series of interviews with all kinds of different experts from different fields. This series is exploring all different kinds of fields and what they entail, right from the glamorous jobs to the non-glamorous jobs but are essential. My mission is to help you uncover different fields if you're interested in one of them and give you advice on how to break in, whether you're a fresher or someone with years of experience. That being said, today I'm excited to launch things off with Dr. Ninad Sheode. He's an award winning educator and atmospheric scientist. His journey weaves together cutting edge science, inspiring teaching, inspiring students, and tips for anybody curious about learning, growth, and science. Let us begin this new journey with Dr. Sheode. So, for anyone listening to you who is not familiar to you, could you briefly introduce yourself and tell us what your background is with atmospheric science, education across the world, across India, and how does anybody watching
Mhm.
relate to you?
Okay. So my name is Nina Chevde, and I am 100% Puneri. Well, not technically,
Okay.
because if you have listened to P.L. Deshpande, he says that if you want to call yourself a Punite, you should be born here. I was not born here. I was born in Madhya Pradesh,
Okay.
in a small city called Vidisha. But then my father started working here. We shifted when I was in second standard. So in that sense, I have grown up uh, in Pune, and more of a go through boy. Just went to my schooling was in Bal Shikshan Mandir.
Okay.
Then um, then I decided to do science in grade 11 and 12. Then went to Ferguson College to do my BSc in physics. Then masters in physics from the Department of Physics, University of Pune. That is when I realized that pure physics uh, is too tough for me.
Mhm.
Really too tough, especially when you start dealing with quantum physics. It started I started feeling the heat. Plus, it was becoming too pure.
Okay.
So I started exploring, and in the Department of Physics itself, we have atmospheric physics, which I thought was more earthly,
Okay.
And where I could see the impact um, being made. When you learn subject, you're talking about various issues, like say, for example, pollution issues, uh, climate issues, environment issues in general. I said, okay, this looks pretty cool.
Mhm.
And so I started inquiring about it. And I found it pretty interesting because you just didn't need physics. You also needed some amount of chemistry, some amount of mathematics, some amount of meteorology, geography, and if you are an avid reader, maybe social sciences. Uh, what I realized was you need a little bit of everything, so you don't get bored doing the same subject again and again. And so after my master's, first master's, say physics, I took a break of 1 year. I worked as a school teacher in Bal Shikshan Mandir only for 1 year. Then I appeared for this entrance exam, got through, uh, and did my MTech. And after the MTech, as was the tradition in Department of Physics at that point in time, I do not know what's the scene right now, but uh, people after their masters used to go for a PhD.
Okay.
Especially to the US.
Mhm.
And I started inquiring, how do you go? Because I mean, nobody in my family had gone abroad to study. Started inquiring, um, appeared for GRE, ultimately landed up in Germany for my PhD. Because then I thought that if I want to achieve a degree, why not the highest degree offered by university?
Right.
That was the whole idea. And then went to University of Bremen in Germany, did my PhD there, went for postdoctoral research to McGill in Montreal in Canada. Those were exciting times in Germany and McGill. And I would describe them as the best years of my life. Okay. In Germany and in Canada. Uh, but as I started doing postdoctoral research, I realized, in fact, I started realizing it towards the fag end of my PhD that in the long run, maybe I will not be a good researcher. Okay. So I just sailed through my PhD, and because I got an opportunity in Montreal, I went there. Uh, but then, things started taking a different turn. Okay. Every morning I used to get up at, thinking, why am I doing this? Uh, uh, why the things are not inspiring? And there's another thing which I had realized during my tenure at Bal Shikshan Mandir, that I'm fairly good communicator. I can gel with the students. So I had this thought in my mind that I should be, teaching. Right. And more specifically, the teenagers, 16 to 18, okay, was my interest group. Primarily because when I was doing my BSc, I used to be a part of outdoor education program, and we used to kind of deal with children. It was so much fun to be with them. And so in McGill, at McGill, I started realizing this. Yeah, this is not the thing that I want to do. Mhm. So I had a contract of 3 years where my my boss Michelle said that we'll immediately apply for your PR and then citizenship. I was pretty excited about it. Uh, but then when this started happening, I said, man, I cannot live like this. Getting every day at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and asking myself this question that uh, why do I want to go to the university? Right. And that is when frustration started kind of coming in. And so, through a common friend whose father was a principal of an engineering college in Hyderabad, I came to know that there is a position of principal available at a place called Nirmal in Adilabad district of then Andhra Pradesh, now Telangana. And I applied, and because all I wanted to do was teach and if an opportunity is given, come to India, wherever it is. Mhm. Plus, my father was also not keeping well. I thought it would be nice to be in India and close to him. And unfortunately, I got the job. I remember he offered me 30,000 rupees per month. And I called him and said, no, I'll not work for 30,000 rupees. Give me 40,000 rupees. And he said, okay. Oh. I was so excited. And I went and told Michelle, my boss then, that, I've got a job in India. And he was a bit angry with me at that point in time, um, saying that this is not good because you have a contract with us for 3 years. I said, Michelle, I just come here to tell you a fact that I would like to move back to India, and I got a job there. I would like to move close to my father. Um, and he actually, decided that he would stop my salary for next 3 months. I said, "Listen, Michelle, I've been very honest with you. I didn't kind of book my ticket. Uh, you know, I didn't go to India and then send an email to you from there that I'm not coming back. Because I just wanted to be extremely transparent when I'm doing this. And then I think things cooled down a bit, and he and the department chair also understood. Said, okay, good luck to whatever you do. So then I came back to India. I went to Nirmal. Um, I had another two fascinating years of my life in Nirmal. It's a very small village. Okay. And, we set up a school there for people around in and around Nirmal, and some of those students are now citizens of foreign countries like New Zealand, the US. It's just so fascinating to see these guys and their journey from a very, very small, sleepy town to uh, big, big cities like New York in the US. Uh, and then after 2 years, the owner was very, very happy with the work I did, and he said that I would like you to take over as director administration of our group of institutions. And so he shifted me to Hyderabad, where I was handling like four engineering colleges, two pharma colleges, a school. All in all, I would say around 6 to 7,000 students and staff of around 400. Um, but then uh, I started feeling that I started getting sucked up in administration though, because as a principal I used to teach also and administer also, and that's when I realized that while education administration is good, I would love to teach as well. I decided that we would like to move back to Pune. Uh, Fortunately, I got a job in at Flame University, uh, where I taught for 4 years from I guess 2010 to 2014, and the the job was up to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and after coming home there was nothing. So I said, let's kind of start the thing that I always wanted to do, teach 11th and 12th graders. Uh, and I hired a small place. I remember in the summer of 2012, I went around the school area uh, putting pamphlets of the new academy that I've opened. Went around maybe around 5,000 to 10,000 forms and wow pamphlets. You did it by yourself? Yeah, I did it myself on a scooter in the evening, and and I think finally I ended up getting like two students, and then 2012, then 2013, two became eight. Wow. And then eight became 22. That is when I realized that this is going to pick up. And then I did back of the envelope calculation. How much is Flame paying me? Will I be able to get this much amount of money if I kind of quit and continue with this? Uh, it was slightly less than um, the salary that I was getting, but then I had this faith in myself that I'm a good communicator, and once I start, uh, then there's going to be no looking back. And I did that, and finally, 2014, I quit the job and started this uh, physics teaching academy along with my wife, who teaches German. And yeah, and it's been a pleasant journey till now. We have shifted to this place now. It's been like almost 11 years that I have been involved in teaching physics and preparing the students for the competitive exams like the state CET and JEE and NEET. Yeah, so this is the journey. Yeah, it's been quite a few years. Yeah, long time. I remember when I joined your classes, it was at that location above that yeah, guy. Yeah. And then we moved like three different places before we settled yeah, I into know, this I one. Know. Those were exciting times. Even then, I was kind of happy for you, thinking, "Oh, this is exciting! Like somebody got their own place and starting their own yeah, thing. This is exciting. Yeah. Like I'm so glad I'm part of this transition phase. Yeah. It was amazing to think about at that time, and it's even more amazing now. Yeah. I remember you used to come with a big bag and a big pouch, which probably had all the things to survive. Yes. Yes, I sit back here and study. Yeah, I know. Never studied at home. Separating yeah, study places and yeah, home place. Yeah. But and kind of moving forward, like
once you got into education, you got few awards, and then you were stated as the five most inspiring Indian teachers by IANS in 2024. How was that? And how was your first award life changing in terms of your thoughts?
No, this was just an article which got published, and I got this award. I didn't. I didn't think about it, and I was like, okay, this article's got published, and they want to give this award, and that was it. I didn't
Okay.
think too much about it at all because for me, the response from the student community is far more important than some third person giving me award. So I
Okay.
think it didn't even cross my mind. Okay, ठीक है, move ahead.
Okay. Uh, so you said you were a research scientist in McGill
Yeah,
University and University of Bremen after.
yeah.
I know you covered this briefly previously, but other than you being frustrated with what your current job was, what was there anything else that inspired this major shift to education, like moving to India and then being a teacher yourself?
Right. Um, uh, well, the frustration started creeping in during the postdoctoral days, not when I was working on my PhD.
Okay.
Germany, I consider that to be like second home.
Okay.
I still would love to live there. Um, I learned a lot there in Germany. Um, um, During that period, when I was looking at my friends and colleagues, the passion with which they were working for science was like awe-inspiring, no doubt about it. That is where I started learning to do things with utmost passion.
Okay.
And one thing which I realized that when you're doing something, if you really love that, um, you don't get tired.
Mhm.
Physically, yes, but mentally, you're always fresh. Uh, when I was doing my research, working for my PhD, um, that is the thought process that I imbibed in myself while looking at my friends and colleagues who are right now brilliant atmospheric scientists getting papers published in top-notch magazines like or art journals like Nature. So that is definitely awesome. But at McGill, when I started doing research, this realization that in the long run I'll not be a good researcher, then what?
Mhm.
Then what is it that I would really love to do where I have a reason to get up in the morning
Mhm.
and go and do something where I find myself lost in doing that and not getting tired.
Mhm.
It is then that I realized that probably this is this teaching is my ikigai, right? And when I realized that, uh, I decided to take that leap of faith. And this word leap of faith was imbibed in me by the principal of my school, Mrs. Hemlata Unwar, who is my um, inspiration. Uh, and she always used to take that whenever you do something which you really love, you take that leap of faith and things will start falling in place. And that is when I decided to quit McGill and then uh, came to uh, came back to India. And when I decided to quit Flame, uh, there were people who said that it's a good paying job you got. But then, of course, my wife Anuja also said that if you believe, then definitely take that leap of faith. Another friend of mine, Dr. Shirisha Sathe, she also encouraged. And I said, okay, this is it, and I'm doing it. And when I took that leap of faith, Siddhesh, I'm telling you, I did not have an smallest amount of fear in my heart that uh, what if I fail? Because I knew I would succeed. is I was extremely confident that this is going to work because, and then I realized probably this is what I wanted to do, and it started succeeding, and then it still shows that I am fearless as far as teaching is concerned, and thank God, I passed through the things that I did. Because a PhD degree and a postdoctoral research of 1 year gives me a certain amount of authority when I stand on that podium and tell the students do this. uh, I'm saying that with authority, and when I tell the students that work hard, it works because I have worked hard. I've reached here. When I could reach here, you could too. I think, yeah. So that feel that figuring out of your own strength was, I think, the turning point where I decided that this is what I wanted to do throughout my life. That's how I shifted to education from research work.
So you you liking education was not a primary thing you knew growing up, but you explored that as you
Yes, yes,
as life
yes,
happened.
yes, yes. And I think um, um, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by good people.
Mhm.
Uh, and some had told me continue to ask this question. One of them being the my mentor, the principal of my school, Hemlata Onward. Keep on asking this question to yourself. What is it that you love? What is it that you like? I did. And then I realized, I think at the age of 27, 28, that teaching is something that I would love to do.
Okay.
And that is what I tell these students, that uh, I didn't have, I didn't do it early, but earlier you do it and you figure out what is it that you like, um, then it'll be awesome, right? And pursuing something that you love to do and do what you love, uh, earlier you get it, better it is. But it's a journey. It is not that after 12th standard you figure out what is it that you love to do. It might be after 4 years of your grad program, you might realize it at the age of 25, 26. But you got to keep on asking this question to yourself. क्या अच्छा लगता है यार? क्या करना चाहिए? Where there's a reason to get up in the morning.
Mhm.
So I think everyone, I believe, is born with some ikigai. It is just an issue of exploring it, is what I feel.
That is very insightful. Uh, Looking back on your journey, what three moments stand out to you the most? The ones that freeze in time you would like to share with the world, and why do they mean so much to you?
Um,
And they do not necessarily have to be turning points in life, just things
yeah,
that personally stand out.
yes. Uh, I would like to point out uh, three turning points in my professional life,
Okay.
which I believe have turned out to be turning moments. One, when my mentor telling me about the leap of faith,
Mhm.
which stuck in my mind there, you know. Then there was this uh, funny incident at Bremen where my uh, PhD uh, advisor, Björn Martin Zinuber, um, was sitting in the lab and he had asked me to do some assignment. I was analyzing a satellite data, and there was one uh, Bible-like book that we used to refer to learn atmospheric science. I could produce the graphs which were there in that book, and I went to John Martin in an excited mode, saying that I could, reproduce these graphs, and um, John Martin, the German that he is, with a absolutely blank face. So what should I do? So, I mean, using our satellite data, I could reproduce these graphs. So I said, what's great in that? So I said, no, but I mean, nobody has done this. Yeah, but anybody could do that, right? And it's like, listen, Ninad. And they used to pronounce my name as Ninad. And it's like, listen, Ninad, um, we are not here to reproduce someone else's work. we are doing a high-end science here where people read our research papers and take a clue and build that temple. And I think that is when it struck me and said, man, uh, this is something we probably need to do. And that changed my whole attitude. What's the whole point in copying others?
Yes.
We, and especially this, I realized not at master's level. I realized that when I was doing my PhD. Just imagine this. Um, so I think this sort of training needs to be given to the youngsters to think about the original work to do. I'm pretty sure many of them do it. For me personally, that was the moment of realization. Okay. Good for me. That stuck. And the second thing, the third thing actually, because the first thing was leap of faith, second thing was this experience, and third one was my boss, John Burroughs, Dr. John Burroughs, a renowned name in the field of atmospheric science. Um, uh, and he was giving a seminar in our, brown bag seminar as we used to have in Bremen. They still have that, and he was giving a lecture, um, and someone asked him a question, and he openly said, on the stage, "I don't know." And I was like, "Oh my God, did he just say I don't know?" And then I went to his cabin and said, "I don't know." It's like eye opener for me because person of your stature saying that is something amazing. So he said, "Well, that's why we are doing science, because if we knew everything, we wouldn't do it." And I said, "But no, I feel that fellow asked fairly easy, in my mind, I was thinking, stupid question." And John was like, "You know what, Nina? There's nothing called a stupid question in the world. There can be only stupid answer." And I think these three moments academically for me, professionally for me, have been the turning points. And they're stuck in my mind so hard that I'm not ashamed to say, I don't know in front of the crowd. Uh, and keep inspiring the students to do some original work and inspire the students to have faith in themselves to do the things what they really love to do and not get scared of the failure, because I think in our country failure is a taboo, and I feel that failure is something that teaches you so much. Yeah. So these were the three turning points professionally for me. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so, with your experience with environmental science and according to your LinkedIn profile, you processed the first global measurements of stratospheric bromine monoxide
Yeah.
and contributed to the World Meteorological Organization. Could you explain us what that exactly is and
Right.
how does this directly impact industries and your field as well?
Right. So it's a very interesting story about the ozone hole, and the story is that the Americans uh, had launched a series of satellites called the Nimbus, and they were the first satellites to kind of start taking these global measurements of ozone. And what happened was they were taking the measurements. There was another group of the British Antarctic Survey were taking the measurements Antarctic as well. And NASA actually realized that there is a sudden drop of ozone concentration. Uh, Now, I wouldn't say sudden drop, I would say dramatic drop of ozone uh, in the month of October. And The Americans thought that it probably is a blip in the data, and they dumped it and they threw it in the bin. And the British Antarctic people, led by Gardiner and Shanklin, they published a paper in the 80s in Nature where they showed that things are bad, and ozone is getting dramatically depleted over the Antarctic. And when the sun returns to Antarctic sometime in October, and when they published, the Americans were surprised. They went back to the data, picked it up from the bin once again, and found out that uh, it indeed was true, and the ozone hole story emerged. And there was a flurry of activities in the 80s to plug in the ozone hole, because if ozone um, is depleted in the stratosphere, the high energy ultraviolet radiations would reach Earth, which could have, uh, believe you me, catastrophic effects, uh, because high energy ultraviolet radiations can cause skin cancer, stunted growth of plants, which means food production will be less, and many other catastrophic events can occur. And so then in and then in 87, the Montreal Protocol was signed. It's a classic example of uh, international cooperation where all the countries realized that this needs to get sorted out. And they signed this Montreal Protocol where the chlorofluorocarbons were it was decided they'll phase them out over a period of time, with developing countries being given a certain extended period to phase them out. Now the Europeans realized that the Americans are running away with the story, and so they decided to launch their own satellites, so that they started getting this data. And one of the first instruments was designed by my boss John. Okay. And then later on, he was at Max Planck at that point in time, and he had one more idea and designed another satellite instrument which got launched in 2002. So in 2002, they launched a satellite instrument called Skiamaki. Uh, so this NVSat satellite had 10 instruments on board. And one of them was Skiamaki, which was again designed by my boss John. And Skiamaki was a very fascinating instrument in the sense that most of the satellite instruments look at the Earth in what is called the nadir view. So it's kind of moving around the Earth and just looking at the Earth. But Skiamaki used to, because when it goes to the dark part, it would not get any data. But the way John designed Skiamaki was that it would look at the moon also once in a while and collect the data. And so you'll have a column measurement as well as you scan the atmosphere like this and those measurements also. So it was a very fascinating instrument. And that is when, I arrived in Bremen. And Skiamaki was measuring bromine compounds, which have very, very weak signals in the atmosphere. And the spectrometer on Skiamaki had that capability to uh, measure those signals. And my other colleagues at the university were having the model, what we call the inverse modeling, to kind of take the satellite data and match it with the real measurements. Um, So that is the data I analyzed along with my friends and with advice from Ian Martin to realize that bromine compounds are 40 to 70 times more active in destroying ozone as compared to the chlorine compounds, what was believed till that time. And this was the first 10-day data and a global data at that, which we analyzed and published that. And yeah, it was appreciated. And then, of course, later on, we published some more research papers which got recognized in the World Met Organization's report. So, and then of course, the consequence of this is because of the Montreal Protocol and such research is that um, this report goes to policymakers of governments of the world, and then these policymakers then design a policy so that the problem at hand can be sorted out. So that is how it starts affecting the normal people like you and me, like the phasing of chlorofluorocarbons. It was decided that they will not use those compounds now in refrigerators or the air conditioners. So now, if you kind of go to the market, always written ozone friendly, right? Things like those. So that is how it affects people like you and me. This research. Okay. Uh, uh, for example, in aviation, for example, Concorde was the one which was kind of flying at a very high altitude, yes, spewing, these gases which could ultimately lead to a destruction of ozone layer. And then when they decide to ground it, and yeah, so this is how this fundamental research helps uh, policymakers which who make the policy, and then which has a far-reaching effect on society as well.
Following that, so has your research or anything that you did revolutionized any particular industry that you know?
I wouldn't say revolutionized, but yeah, it has its impact on um, policy level decisions. For example, uh, as I said in the research which we did at the University of Bremen, um, we figured out that uh, the bromine compounds um, are responsible almost 40 to 70 times more in destroying ozone layer. Okay. As compared to chlorofluorocarbons, the CFCs. Uh, Now, as already told that the ozone hole story was a big one, and it it uh, it took those reports, and the governments of the world actually decided to have uh, that international protocol, the Montreal Protocol, and then it went to the governments of the world, and where the policy decision was made. Okay. About phasing out the chlorofluorocarbons in a systematic uh, manner. Okay. And yeah, as I said, it was common but differentiated responsibilities. Uh, with the developing world being given added period to phase out systematically. So you shifted from chlorofluorocarbons to uh, hydrofluorocarbons, and 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 the products which the industry decided to manufacture, they were cautious about it. Uh, Everyone started claiming, we would like to be environment friendly. In that sense, this fundamental research actually helps. That is how it changes. While we worked, there was plenty of research done already before. Uh, but yeah, as far as bromine compounds were concerned, we were the first one to crack in sense of global data, because the data which was available before was an isolated data, because it was primarily from the balloon sound or people having the stations at various places at particular latitude and longitude, and so they were having limited latitude longitudinal data, but ours was the first global data. And yeah, the model results were quite exciting, and they were matching with the experimental results, and then we did verify them with the ground based stations as well. And um, so it was an addition to the knowledge which already was kind of existing, but now we knew that bromine compounds are more responsible for destroying ozone than the chlorine compounds. Okay. दार बंद करू शकतेस तू.
This unit was right.
हा म्हणजे ते
I'll edit that.
ते एडिट होईल. आवाज होतोय त्या एसीचा.
थोडंसं जोरात बोला.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you see this relationship? Like you mentioned, how certain fields are evolved. How do you see this relationship between atmospheric science and other fields evolving over the next decade?
Uh, I think you know um, people are getting aware of environmental issues. But my concern is that these issues get discussed at policy level, and it should become a mass movement. And when that happens, then it starts affecting everyone, because we are all connected to each other through a web of nature. So I think once climate science, environment science becomes a mass movement, then it will start affecting varied industry. Um, you know, be it automobile industry, uh, be it other manufacturing sectors, which are pumping greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, um, or any other acts in the society. So I think it should become a mass movement, and that is how atmospheric science or environment science is related to all of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we could perfectly predict weather or atmospheric conditions everywhere on Earth, what do you think would be the implications of that? And do you think we will ever achieve it? And any particular industry do you think will be affected by that? For example, I can think of aviation would be probably the most
Right.
affected.
Yeah, I mean, um, the developed world is already doing uh, almost perfect prediction of weather. And if you go to Europe or the US, you have the data available, and people get out of their homes after seeing weather many times. Uh, Tropical region is chaotic. It's very difficult to predict weather in chaotic, but increased data, which the Indian Met Department is trying to get by increasing the surface stations and from satellite. Our models are also becoming better and better, and we do fairly good weather prediction um, already. Right? I mean, just to give an example, how a good weather prediction can affect the things, not only as far as society is concerned but industry as well. Is prediction of cyclones, say for example. I mean, using satellite data, you already know that a cyclone is taking birth, and it's going to hit the land after a certain period of time. So immediately, your disaster management teams reach the shores, they evacuate people, uh, thereby preventing the loss to life. Of course, there is collateral damage, but if we have fairly good early warning system, part of the collateral damage can be prevented, especially of the industries which are located close to these shores. Uh, um, Insurance agencies will have to pay less premium, when good weather prediction is there. Uh, so it is in this sense that weather prediction will affect all of us, I feel. Yeah, I'm just a brief answer to that question. Yeah.
Uh, do you think that this field is underappreciated or underdeveloped in India or maybe other parts of the world as well?
Uh, Not really in other parts of the world, but in India, yes.
Okay.
Hell yes. Uh, in fact, there's a running joke that whenever Met Department tells you that there's going to be a rain, people are sure that there will not be. And people actually forget that it's very, very difficult to predict a tropical weather. So when they say that there will be a region in a Pune region, people feel that, in my area it should rain because the Met Department predicted. But it's a wide grid. There's going to be some rain. In fact, when you go from one part of the city to another part of the city, you realize that there's rain in one area, and whereas there's no rain in other area. So the grids are large, but the grids are decreasing amazingly. Um, uh, but I feel that it definitely is an underappreciated subject. I feel that sciences like meteorology should be introduced on a small scale at school level, as at least the experimental techniques, and it should also be introduced on a large scale as a grad course, and so that people get aware. We already have environment science, but meteorology in particular. And now I think things are changing a little bit, in the sense that there are now private players who are coming into the game, uh, like Skymet, predicting their own weather um, models. I mean, they have their own weather models and they're predicting the weather, and so is IMD. So I think this should increase, so that we have more and more people coming into the game. But as of now, definitely it is an um, unappreciated subject, I would say, in India.
Any, do you see this evolving at the current day and age, or it is still a bit stagnant?
No, I think I'm seeing that evolving already, because there have been plenty of MOUs which have been signed between the US and India regarding improving the weather prediction models and even climate prediction models. And um, in fact, we have a separate ministry now for Department of Earth Sciences, as it is called. And so I think there's good amount of money being pumped in. But I think the private sector should also get involved more and more in this area. And I think there's a good future, definitely.
Kind of moving towards your education background. Uh, you were recognized as one of the most influential teachers by IANS in 2024. Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
Uh, what do you think sets apart exceptional teaching from good teaching, especially in stereotypically harder subjects like physics, science, maths?
Um, I feel that introduction of science in India is very dry at school levels. Uh, and I don't blame the teachers, because the sheer mass of students that we have, it becomes difficult for the teachers to kind of experiment. Uh, but they should do it. Um, um, Generating curiosity should be the aim, not completing the syllabus, which unfortunately is the scenario right now. Um, what I feel is, while the science is being introduced, it would be very nice to talk about the history of science as well. Um, the biographies of the people who worked on a particular concept which is being introduced in the classroom, telling the political scenario of that particular era, the context of why this movement happened. I think that makes the subject very, very interesting, number one. And my my inspiration uh, in all this is always the great Walter Levin, who taught at MIT for a very long time. And the way he introduces physics is like phenomenal. I mean, I think same can be done with other subjects as well. Uh, if I'm able to do even 1% of what he did, I think I would have achieved my aim. So I think teaching, um, followed by or in parallel, showing the experiments, talking about the history of science, uh, would make the subject very, very interesting. Unfortunately, even in private industry, because of the sheer competition that we have, completing syllabus is a priority rather than discussing these things at peace. Uh, but I think we could try and establish a fine balance between completing the goal of completing syllabus and introducing this. That is what will make people attract more towards uh, pure sciences, if I may use that word, uh, uh, and make the science learning more exciting.
Yeah. So, going towards pure sciences, uh, pure sciences is mostly perceived after 12 in college, right? If you said some, you need to have history for that.
Right.
What if somebody is afraid of taking that subject because didn't get good marks in history in school?
Mhm.
How would you tackle that problem of making sure that students take history because it's interesting versus take history because it's a mandatory subject?
Again, the teachers have a very, very important role. Again, the way history gets taught in our school is it's all about cramming those dates,
Mhm.
which is not the reality. So again, it is the responsibility of teacher to make the subject interesting. And what I've realized is that teachers also need to learn continuously, uh, explore new ways of teaching. Um, Maybe see lectures of other teachers who are more inspiring than them, and try and make the subject more interesting. But I think introduction of history of science uh, would would play a very, very important role in influencing the young minds for sure. Um, I think in the beginning, if it is made compulsory, then so be it. At least, in the name of completing the paper, he would read that history and he would know what actually went beyond, coming out with a concept that has been introduced to him or her in the syllabus. So yeah, so teachers are going to play an important role. Yeah.
Uh, on lines of teachers, your website says that you helped over uh, 2,750
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now more than 3,000.
wow. Nice.
Yeah.
So, have you ever experienced any student who has hated the subject of physics?
Mhm.
And can you share a story of a student's transformation from like before 11 that
Oh,
after
many,
12?
many, many. In fact, again, as I would say that uh, teachers play a dominant role in um, whether a student is going to like a subject or hate a subject. While of course, students' inclination also plays equally important role, because if someone's brain is not inclined for analytical skills, then obviously he or she is going to hate the subjects like physics and math and chemistry and biology. Um, but in general, specifically the students who are more inclined towards biological sciences, most of them, if not all, hate physics. Otherwise, also there are students who want to do engineering and they hate physics, which is like ironical. But there have been many instances. So my job as a teacher is to at least make them neutral about it, if not like the subject. कि यार ठीक है, हो सकता है, it's not that bad, कर लिया तो हो जाएगा. So there have been many instances. Um, One particular story I would like to share, and I think she belonged to your batch, Manali.
Yes.
She did not hate physics per se, but yeah, she liked biological sciences more than physics. And ultimately, it so happened that she ended up pursuing a bachelor's in physics, and now she is in atmospheric sciences, pursuing her PhD in the US.
Nice.
But there are many, many students who said that they found physics difficult in school and initially in 11th standard, but they have come to, if not like, have a feeling that they can manage it. Uh, and there are many, many stories like this. There are many stories like this. Yeah. So one particular story is that of.
And for those students, do you have like small rituals or something you do or something you ask the students to do to help them understand topics or create a memorable experience for them?
I don't know whether I create a memorable experience, but I think showing an experiment helps, or showing a video helps if you don't have that material of experiment. Um, I think there's this Chinese proverb saying that if you see the things, then you remember it. I think showing experiment helps them, and also makes the class exciting, where the students come forward and participate in that experiment. So I think those are the small things which I do. Fortunately, we have a digiboard now where I could just log into YouTube and show some interesting videos. Or I have kind of bought plenty of lab apparatus now, taking inspiration from the likes of Water 11, and I try to show as many experiments as possible so that it becomes an exciting experience.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Uh,
Mhm.
could you share a moment of an early failure or setback or failure in general, which has shaped your approach towards life and the future we want to build?
Uh, yeah, I mean, failures, many.
Okay.
uh, in fact, I've built my career on failures,
Okay.
and many personal setbacks.
Mm.
Um, I feel failures are necessary because success doesn't teach you anything. Uh, Failure does. On a very personal front, there were phases of two depressions that I passed through, uh, and one lasted for what, almost 4 to 5 years, from ninth standard to almost like first year from BSc. That is where, as I said, teacher plays such an important role. I think I mentioned the name of my school's principal, Mrs. Hemlata Honwad, who was instrumental in taking me out of that depression mode. Um, so that was a long period where academically I really did not perform that well, and that was a big setback. And my father could not help because he was so busy with his own business, which was suffering plenty of losses. So, that sense, financially, we were very weak, and there was no support system available from on the home front. But as I said, the relationships that I developed during the school days helped. Um, Plus, um, the uh, the luck that I was surrounded by good people. They helped, and they helped me come out of this depression. And then I succeeded in my bachelor's, and then after the masters, again passed through one more phase of depression. But this time I came out very quickly because for I had learned the techniques of coming out of it. Yeah, and uh, so these two these two setbacks, set me apart in the sense that I could empathize with people, and these two events kind of changed my life uh, uh, to seeing things. Uh, and even today, when a student is in 12th standard, if he or she doesn't perform well, um, I find it perfectly okay because I knew in the long run he or she is going to be successful anyway. The parents, of course, freak out. But yeah, I mean, these two events were the ones which had helped me to come out as a better person and set me on the path of good academic success. I don't know whether I answered your question or
So,
not.
yes and no, in the sense that you answered about mental failures or mental fatigue,
Mhm.
but failures in terms of you're trying to achieve something and
Oh
you did
yeah.
not achieve it.
Oh yeah. Um, well, I mean, initially I almost achieved it, and then suddenly uh, there was a massive setback, and then you achieved it again. One was this was a personal one, and the second one was, of course, during my PhD, where we were analyzing this bromine monoxide data, and I had gridded the entire Earth, um, in small grids, and was almost at the fag end of my PhD. In fact, I'd started writing my thesis when a colleague, of mine, who had recently joined the group, pointed out a bug in the model, and And I was like, oh shit, this is going to suck now. And I went to my advisor, Björn Martin, and told him that, he has figured out what should we do. And he said, we got no option but to analyze it once again. 120,000 profiles. And it was a massive setback because my funding was going to end. And and then I realized that I I need to work. And then I worked for like 18 to 19 hours for almost 3.5 months. I just used to sleep in the office, go to go home, take bath, grab something to eat, and come back and just work, work, work. Um, but then I wouldn't say that as a failure because, well, you can call that failure with a positive tinge, because science is fraught with failures. So it was part of learning process. That was one setback that taught me that if you decide, uh, then it can happen. So that is what I keep telling students here, मेहनत करो, मैंने करके देखी है, हो जाएगा.
With this attitude is reducing day by day, but it still exists predominantly. Is bad marks is bad. You should not fail in
Yeah.
exams and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
How would one deal with failure? Be it life or be it exams?
I think you should take failure um, with a positive tinge. I mean, there's nothing called fail as such. And it's like first attempt in learning, FAIL, right? Um, um, I think people um, associate the idea of success, for example, in academics, specifically 11th and 12th, with the marks. And they're not wrong because that is how we have been brought up, right? Marks are everything, marks are everything. But I believe that the learning process is more important, uh, because if if the learning process is good, then the natural byproduct is going to be good grades. That depends, um, whether you're appearing for board exam or competitive exam. In board exam, you probably need an additional skill of good presentation. Uh, but yeah, content learning process is extremely important. So all I would advise to the students, and I do that on a regular basis in my class, is this: don't worry about the result, it will come your way, but first concentrate on the learning process, because that is going to help you lifelong, especially these Gen Z and now Gen Alpha who are coming up, um, you know in their career, spanning 30-35 years, they might have to make plenty of career changes. And learning, unlearning is the only thing that will, help you. That is what I think, I'll be mentioning in the book which I'm writing right now. It's called Learn or Burn, which will come out very soon. That, you got to learn. You got to have the attitude of adaptability to the emerging scenario, because if you have rock solid frame of mind, you are not going to survive. So you have to learn, unlearn, learn. Yeah, so that is what I would tell. And take the failures with a positive stride. Take that as a building block of your temple of career, if I may use that word.
Mhm. So, a lot of your students mentioned that you make physics come alive.
Mm.
And I think that kind of goes towards your goal of reaching the attitude of water learn.
Right. Plus, I did not get good grades in 11th and 12th. That I keep on sulking about that even today because of the phase of depression I was passing through and the bad financial condition I had. I said, damn, had I got the opportunity, I would have cracked it.
Hey, you kind of did. Now
Yeah.
you teach people.
Yeah.
So, do you integrate your background in research or atmospheric science in making physics concepts tangible or understandable?
Yeah, wherever possible, because uh, you know, every time it cannot be done because it might become boring. But like especially when I teach, say, kinetic theory of gases or thermodynamics. I try to do that, but otherwise I concentrate more on the concepts and the history behind it, because I have to strike a balance between um, completing the syllabus, passing on the concept, and make them ready for the exam as well. Otherwise, people would not come to me.
True, true. And how do you design moments in your classroom in a way that students feel, see, or heard, or like beyond concepts of teaching or beyond concepts?
I really love to be genuine. I really love to be genuine. And I think the students can see through. If you are fake, they can easily make out. Uh, and when I enter the classroom, I keep my ego at home. And if I'm making a mistake right in front of like crowd, as I said, I learned it from my boss John. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and I just genuinely thank a student who points out my mistake. I think that connects you, and you cannot make moments; they just happen.
Right.
As in the process of teaching, they just keep on happening. There are many moments which people remember for a long time. Some are funny, some are very intense, but I don't make an attempt to create them. I just try to be genuine.
Okay. Kind of a one-off question, kind of circling back to your bromine research. Could you explain me what exactly it is? What exactly is your bromine research, and more predominantly, what is atmospheric science more than bromine research?
Okay. So atmospheric science is an amalgamation of multiple subjects. Uh, there's physics in it, there's chemistry in it, there's mathematics in it, there's statics in it, there's geography in it, there's meteorology in it. And if you wish, you can also bring in social sciences and economics and other subjects as well. Depends on what area you're working in. Now, my area was also an interesting one, which was an amalgamation of computer modeling and satellite data analysis and working with other groups. Um, so what we did was my boss had designed a satellite uh, called Skiamaki, uh, and its mission life was around 3 years, but it lasted for almost 7 to 8 years, dumping humongous amount of data, which people are still analyzing. And so what this satellite instrument did was um, to 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 trace the signals of bromine compounds in the atmosphere, which is extremely difficult. Uh, People have been doing it at surface stations, but this was first attempt for a global data. Now, this is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, what is called the inverse modeling, where people convert um, physics, chemistry, and mathematics into a computer code, and then pull that satellite data and check whether the data which is being sent is correct or not. Uh, uh, then a validation campaign is run with the surface measurements to check whether the measurements at particular lat long are matching with the satellite data at that lat long, which should be within certain error bar. Um, this was one aspect which other group was doing. And once we had this data, we had to kind of run a model and then over the whole globe and figure out what are the concentrations of these bromine compounds at various altitude, and then again validate that with a ground data, um, and figure out the role of bromine compound, because your model is going to have those equations involving bromine compounds. And you tweak the parameters to check how does it affect the concentration of the ozone during a specific period. So the research was primarily about figuring out uh, how much does bromine compound contribute to the depletion of ozone layer during the peak time, sometime in October over the Antarctic continent. And that is what this was all about.
As an outsider, could you explain me the field of atmospheric science?
Mhm.
Who can be a part of it? Who cannot be a part of it? Especially for someone who is on the fence of what to do, what not to do.
Mhm.
So, can you tell someone, hey, you should go into this or you should not go into this? Or an outsider who has no idea even what it is, what it is.
Well, again, people from varied fields can join atmospheric sciences. I mean, even after becoming an engineer, you can join atmospheric sciences because it is such a vast field um, uh, where you need people from different backgrounds. So, for example, if uh, want to be a part of a satellite building team, you can be a part of satellite building team. If you want to be a satellite data analyst, you can be a satellite data analyst. You want to work in a specific area of the atmosphere, say troposphere only. You're dealing with the pollution like the one we have in Delhi right now. It'll start in Delhi right now. Um, you can work in that area specifically. You can work only in the stratospheric region. You can work only in the mesosphere. So you can select the area you really want to work in. Whether you want to work on ocean related issues, whether you want to work in paleontology. So all this is part of directly or indirectly atmospheric sciences. It just depends what area you want to work in. One. Um, well, to reach to advanced level, of course, you'll have to go for a PhD. But before that, you'll have to do masters. And there are many universities in India now which are offering masters in atmospheric sciences.
But what exactly is that? What is atmospheres?
So it's atmospheric science, as the word itself makes clear, is the science of atmosphere. What causes uh, pollution? What are the chemicals responsible for pollution which are harming you and me? How are the clouds getting formed? How a cyclone is emerging? And you try to model these things, for example, we have friends at the IIT, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, who likes to model cyclones and try to study the physics of cyclone, what exactly is happening. Or, for example, there are tornado chasers in the US who actually chase these twisters and tornadoes and try to figure out what is the physics happening inside. And we would like to know the science. And this is all part of meteorology slash atmospheric science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Moving on to the current day and age, how are things like AI or modern sensors and satellites or regulations affect the field of atmospheric science and the field of education because you have been part of that predominantly?
Yeah. To be very honest, since I've been away from the research field for quite some time now, I do not know how AI is shaping up in the area of research, to be very honest. In the field of education, as far as the student side is concerned, at least um, we don't talk about it much, but on a very personal level, I've started using AI, or at least making an attempt to learn AI, how it can solve my problems. Uh, but as far as training the students is concerned, I don't think I'm making use of AI as much uh, with the students, to be very honest.
Have you encountered any student using the publicly available models for homework or studying or something like that? And what would you say to them?
No, I have not come across. I have not come across. Because my area of work is limited to grade 11th and 12th, and prescribed syllabus, and then preparing them for competitive exam. Where only I think while they're preparing themselves for competitive exam, they might take help of AI, and AI will definitely give them an answer of a question for sure. but ultimately they have to develop their skill, because when they go to appear for the exam, AI is not going to be there.
Yes, we need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Mm, should education or is education adapting for students to prepare them for interdisciplinary roles, like connecting atmospheric science with uh, aerospace or aviation or automotive or any other field?
Yes, it has started happening in our country, especially with the new education policy where interdisciplinary work is being promoted. And I think that is the need of the hour. An expert is a person who knows probably too much about too little an area. We need to have a T-shaped profile where you are good at one thing, but you also have a fairly working knowledge of varied fields,
Okay.
which could be uh, from the interdisciplinary area. So that has already started happening, and I was fortunate when I shifted to Pune that I got an opportunity to work at Flame University, which is uh, there in the School of Liberal Education. We had the freedom to design our own courses, and that was a learning experience. I mean, I cannot imagine myself um, before that teaching a course like energy economics and physics, which I designed and taught. So I think interdisciplinary approach is important, which is taking shape here now. And yeah, the new education policy clearly mentions and stresses on the approach of interdisciplinary work. Yeah.
To a student who is, let's say, pursuing mechanical engineering, how would you guide the student to be interdisciplinary? Because the primary focus right now will be getting good marks, making sure you don't fail any subjects, moving forward, graduating on time. How would you advise that particular student to be interdisciplinary, or like you mentioned earlier, develop relationships with people?
I think that already is happening on the um, college campuses where interdisciplinary uh, subjects are part of their credits. So that is already happening. Uh, I usually would like to advise the students that don't don't treat career as the destination, because it definitely is not. It's a process. It's an evolving process. Your interests change over a period of time. So after 12th standard, if a student joins, say, engineering or pure sciences or any other field for that matter, all I would advise is to explore, explore, and explore. And if you remember, I said, keep on asking this question to yourself. What is it that I really love? What is it that I would like to do? Uh, there should be a reason to get up in the morning, right? Today is new day, and this is what I would love to do. So I think figuring that out takes time. So when you have decided your area of work broadly, you could start exploring what are the other things that interest you, which can you kind of match with my area of work right now. That is how you finally boil down to your area of work is what I feel. Uh, and uh, don't be uneasy about it. That today I have a thought and tomorrow I must kind of finish this and take a decision that this is the area I want to work in. It's a long process. Take it easy. Um, you cannot decide in 12th standard many times. If someone can, then he or she is lucky. But otherwise, it's a process. Take your own time, 4 years, 5 years, but keep on asking this question, explore, meet people. Um, and yes, point comes back to the same area again and again. Develop relationships. Don't try to be too individualistic. Uh, it will not help.
Right.
Yeah.
Any advice on how to develop relationships and with who and how do you vet certain kinds of people?
That's a very broad area, honestly speaking. I have no mantra to to kind of tell people how to develop relationships, but all I can say is try to hang out with positive people, and yeah, uh, try to figure out or try to hang out in a group who seems more intelligent than you. Because if you feel that you are intelligent, then you're dead. Because for example, when I tell the students uh, in 12th standard that engineering you will get in engineering, don't worry. But in which college? You would like to be surrounded by people who are passionate about the things, right? And many times I feel you should feel stupid in front of multiple people uh, after seeing them. Oh my God, they're doing so many things. How come I'm not doing it? Then you should kind of think about it. What is it that I love? How can I improve my skills to kind of rise to a level other people have risen? And of course, talk to people. So there's no specific mantra I have to tell people, okay, this is how relationships get developed.
It's just trial and error.
Yeah,
Meet a lot of people
yeah,
and a few will stick around.
yeah, and empathy. And empathy.
Okay. Kind of moving to career. If any of your students, like you mentioned earlier, are interested in atmospheric science, what educational path and key skills would you recommend?
Well, STEM, science, technology, uh, math, engineering. These are the areas that people should be uh, very good at. And as I said, you could pursue bachelor's in science related areas. It need not be engineering, or it could be engineering also. But um, then of course, go for the master's. Uh, but again, you really have to figure out whether you really want to enter into this game or not. That again varies from person to person. Now, I'm assuming that person has gotten interested in atmospheric sciences, then pursuing masters would be a good option, and not remaining at bachelor's level.
But would it be a good thing to say, taking you as an example, that even if you choose a certain field and at 30, 40, you realize it's not the field for you,
Right.
you can always.
Perfectly good to switch, because ultimately, um, it's the only life you've got, right? You got to love what you do. And so I think it's perfectly okay if people, and there are many examples in our society, right, who did something else when they did bachelors, and even today when people are working in varied industries, they did their bachelors in something else, and now they're earning money because of certain area they're working in. So it's perfectly okay to kind of switch uh, whenever you feel that particular field is one good for you, and that is inspiring you to get up every morning.
uh, Anyone else, as in somebody who is not in STEM, who is not doing engineering, probably is doing arts, commerce, can somebody from a non-technical background enter atmospheric science if wanted? And how would their job roles look like?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there are because learning has no bounds. So to say that a science students understand science better, I feel sometimes a myth, or many times it's a myth, because there are people who probably are doing something else but are continuing to read books related to science. Uh, they might not be doing that in a mathematical way, but more in qualitative way, but they have deeper understanding, or their questions are more intriguing and curious than person who is pursuing science. So yeah, so for example, if someone pursuing say liberal arts or journalism, say for example, can be a very good science communicator to the society. Of course, he or she will have to start learning the real science behind a particular area of work, say, for example, air pollution. And then that person could be an excellent communicator. And I know so many whose formal education has not been in science but are doing amazing work in the area of science. So I think one anyone can do science.
Okay.
you don't need to have that university certification to do science. Okay. No, anyone can do science.
Any advice for professionals considering a transition from that industry to education or from any other industry to atmospheric science, who has few years of experience under their belt and not a
Yes.
fresher?
I would encourage people to enter into the field of education.
Okay.
I really would. Uh, there is, well, while COVID has exposed the whole world to uh, amazing teachers, online teachers, we need good teachers. Uh, Teachers are uh, nation builders. So uh, they 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 are the ones who are training the future professionals. Uh, it's a national tragedy, and I do this survey many times in the class. How many of you want to become teachers? Unfortunately, one hand or two hand, kind of in a batch of three goes up. Everybody wants a good teacher, but nobody wants to become one. Uh, I feel that teaching is the most wonderful profession that one can be in, if you like it, of course. Uh, it's a stress-free profession. Uh, of course, I mean you have the pressures of in academic environment, pressure of completing a syllabus, but the interaction with which you do with young people always keeps you young, and I think that's a bonus
Okay.
as you age. So I would encourage people to enter in the field of education. And I think the second question was, would you encourage them to enter in atmospheric sciences?
Yes, and what skills they should have.
Oh yeah. So I think entering to atmospheric sciences in the later part of the career can become a little bit tricky. So if you got to decide at bachelor's or master's level whether you want to work in that area. Otherwise, the reskilling will have to be done. And what area you want to work in, that is also important. So that path has to be treated with caution as well. If a person is in 30s and 40s, I wouldn't advise take a good look at the decision that you are taking. It could be risky.
Okay. Risky in terms of?
In terms of finances,
Okay.
because while yeah, interests are good, but you need finances also, right, to support yourself. So in that sense, I would say that. Yeah.
Are there any misconceptions about the field of atmospheric science? And can you clarify if you know any?
I am not aware because if there are, uh, I'm sure that there would be one misconception that there's no money. Which I think might be a misconception. There's plenty of money, uh, provided you're in the right area of work and you are at the right place at the right time.
Mhm.
So otherwise, I don't know if there are any misconceptions,
Okay.
or it has no future. Uh, in fact, I feel that atmospheric sciences is the field to work in because the way ISRO is launching satellites, other countries are, launching. There's going to be huge amount of satellite data available. Uh, uh, there will be dearth of people to analyze that data. So I think there will be a requirement of lots and lots of people in this area. So it's got a bright future. So yeah.
If you have to give a step-by-step skeleton of checkpoints a person should follow to get into atmospheric science, right? What would those steps be?
Well, good grades in 12th standard.
What is good grades?
Well, good grades in the sense that if you are going to follow a traditional path of doing pursuing pure sciences first, like a BSc and then MSc, then you have to have good grades in 12th standard, which means that you need to stand a chance of getting into a good college. a reputable college. Uh, where, when I say reputable college, what I mean is uh, where you have good crowd and good teachers to teach. Then you need to have good grades in grade standards. So that will be checkpoint number one. And then pursuing a grad course in physics, chemistry, mathematics, or biology, if you're following the path of pure sciences, and then an MSc, and then of course you can pursue either MTech or a PhD. Okay. And then your game starts. Okay. But if you want to switch over to a corporate life, you can do that after your grad studies or post-grad studies as well. Okay. This is one path. If someone is pursuing, say, engineering, then of course, you can directly switch over to um, corporate sector or pursue masters and then PhD. Okay. But if you're passionate about it, I would strongly recommend that you do PhD. Okay. Because it's a self-actualization exercise, and yeah, you become an expert in that area. So, but it's a long drawn path because what happens is that when you do masters, then you start actually understanding what area of atmospheric sciences you are really, really interested in. And then for your PhD, you can start working in that particular field. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Uh, so I'm from aviation background. Could you tell me how atmospheric science would directly or indirectly relate to aviation and aerospace, or the other way around?
Well, I think atmospheric sciences is definitely related to aviation. Uh, how would it not be related? Because you need good weather prediction when you're working in aviation, right? Um, and so meteorology is the branch of atmospheric science where it is directly related to aviation. Yes. Yeah, that's how it is.
Okay. And can anybody from aviation, like I know you've said this earlier, but just confirming, choose to get into meteorology if they wish to?
Yes, because meteorology is a science which is applicable not only in aviation but other fields as well.
Yes.
Because you need uh, experts who can predict weather, right? You need such people in high end sport. I think I mentioned that previously, like Formula One.
Yes.
You need such experts um, in in big life insurance companies who are going to predict the weather, because when an insurance company is insuring a high-end industry, it has to be sure about multiple things, and one of them will be this.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Kind of moving to your personal thoughts. What keeps you passionate about education after all these years?
Good question. I think I was lucky to have figured out my ikigai.
Okay.
I really was lucky. Uh, and now I realize that probably this could have been the only thing I could have done. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done. I would have earned money, but then that would not have been fun. Uh, I think teaching is the reason why I get up every morning. And I am enthusiastic about coming to class and interacting with the teenagers. 16 to 18 is the age group I love to work with. I mean, uh, so I think it's the it's the passion and the kicks that I get. Money was not the aim. Of course, when I quit, I had to make sure that I get enough amount of money to support my family. But as I said, I concentrated more on the process. Okay. And tried to figure out more and more interesting way to convey the concepts and train them professionally for the exam, but at the same time inspire them in other areas of life as well. So I think and I feel that uh, when you have figured out what you really love to do, then I think the enthusiasm is unlimited because that is what you would love to do. That doesn't mean that I don't get bored or I don't get tired. Yeah, there are times where I do get bored. A period comes after 4 to 5 months where I don't want to do anything. Then you take a break, but then you come back again. So I think figuring out Ikigai is the reason why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing right now.
So, is it valid to say that anybody, including yourself, since you figured it out during your postdoctorate, it is completely all right to figure out what you like later in life and take a
Absolutely.
leap of faith on yourself?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that, as I mentioned those words, that leap of faith is extremely, extremely important. Um, uh, the human brain develops up to the age of 24, as far as those decision-making centers are concerned. And this information uh, uh, got from my psychologist friend. Um, and so usually between 25 and 30 people, kind of boil down, settle down that this is the area that you would want to work on. I say even if some people figure out in at the age of 35, 40, it's perfectly okay as long as they figure out and they start getting happiness out of their living. Because this one life that we have got. I think while money definitely is important, definitely should earn plenty of money. There's no doubt about it. But uh, but at what cost is also a question. So if you are able to earn money by doing what you really love, then nothing like it, right? So there are few things money can't buy, and one is satisfaction and happiness. So I feel that figure out, take your own time, continue to explore. Earlier you figure out, better it is for you. Later you figure out, it's perfectly okay because everyone's got just one life. So figure it out.
Your website states that your mission is developing or creating lifelong learners.
Yes.
Could you define a lifelong learner and why this philosophy is important to you and science?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question. Um, Especially in future, um, especially for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, this will be the mantra. You have to be lifelong learner because, as I said, they will have to do plenty of career changes in their uh, uh, lifespan of 30, 40 years of career. They'll have to change fields. And when you change field, then you'll have to unlearn the previous things and learn all over again. So if you have, sail your way by memorizing the things and, then things are not going to work. So you have to have that adaptability. You need to adapt yourself to the emerging scenario, unlearn the old things and learn the new things. Is the only mantra because if you say that I know everything, I've learned everything, you're dead. And even today, I keep on forcibly I keep on doing those courses. When I say forcibly, I mean I select an area and let me just learn what this is. I keep on doing that on a regular basis. You need to learn continuously. That kind of enriches you, keeps your brain also active. Otherwise, if you feel that okay, this is how I'm going to work, this is the area, this is the end of it, it's not going to work. And that is the reason why, you know if you have the if you develop or stimulate this attitude of learning, unlearning and learning, I think that helps you to prosper uh, professionally as well as personally.
Okay. So, on the topic of being a lifelong learner and trying to be consistent, I came across someone and she asked me that how can she stay motivated? She likes math, she likes science, she likes studying, but she can't even get herself to study math or study science, even the subject she likes. She said she tried setting a giant schedule of this is what I will do in this time, this is what I will do. She set up syllabus for herself. I will study this much material, this much material. She said when I sit down to study. I cannot get myself to study after like few minutes, and I don't want to do anything. And my observation with her conversation was she's afraid of getting bad marks in 12th. Mind you, she's in 11th standard right now. But the fear of getting bad marks is what I feel is holding her back from even starting to study.
Right.
How would one deal with all of this?
Well, I think a professional help first of all, because this psyche of fear of failure needs to be rooted out by rational thinking, and a professional help would definitely help. Um, but talking about motivation, I feel that it's a myth. Um, those are the spikes that you get. It's like, joining a gym 3 months before the Valentine's Day. You know, but once that day is over, again, people are back to their normal ways of, eating and not being disciplined. So I think discipline is the key. Discipline is something which you do even if you hate it. Um, and small steps every single day uh, go a long way in achieving that success. So I think to the young people of grade 11, 12, all I would say is, or to this girl you're talking about, is if she starts worrying about her marks, uh, not to worry about whether she's going to beat someone or whether she will get less marks, it's not going to be the end of the world. Rather than worrying about the marks, think of it as developing skills over a period of 2 years in 11th grade and 12th grade. I think skills are more important. The learning process is more important. So if one concentrates more on learning process, then the natural byproduct is good grades. Again, you might be intelligent, you might know the concepts, but you might not get good grades in 12th standard. The reason being 12th standard, apart from some content, requires presentation skills also. So I've seen many students who are very intelligent, but the presentation skills are like terrible. So if you train yourself in those skills and align them with the intelligent learning process, I think the natural byproduct is going to be marks. So for this person to root out the fear of failure, one, professional help, and second, concentrate on learning process without worrying about the uh, result.
And how would one focus on a learning process?
Well, continue to do whatever is being taught in the class on that day itself, because the moment you revise, you are refilling that bucket. Otherwise, the forgetting cycle starts, right? And it's going to get erased from your memory very soon. So at the end of the day, you would have forgotten. At the end of 8 days, you would have forgotten everything. So if you revise the things on the same day itself, uh, then your your pathways start getting hardwired. At the end of the day, memory is nothing else but connection of neurons. The more you revise, the more strengthening of bonds is going to happen, and you'll remember the things. And during the learning process, on the same day, you also come across doubts. You ask the doubts the next day, sort it out, and then revise that once again. So here's a strategy that I usually give, that if you have a class on Monday, when a teacher teaches you for 1.5 hours, actually he's passing on the information of only 20 to 25 minutes, not more than that. Okay. Because the teacher elaborates, he explains, he dictates notes. That occupies 1.5 hours. The actual content is of 20 to 25 minutes, which I think is uh, is doable on the same day itself. Now, when you study Monday's syllabus or Monday's part on Monday, then on Tuesday, before you start Tuesday's part to revise, you revise quickly the Monday's part. Which means now the revision time of Monday's syllabus is going to get compressed on Tuesday. Okay. when you come to Wednesday, you revise what was taught on Monday quickly, then you revise Tuesday, then on Wednesday you revise Wednesday's part. So your time for Monday's revision is going to get compressed further. Then Tuesday's time gets compressed. Now Wednesday, and so on and so forth. Once the chapter is complete, prepare a memory map, article by article of that particular chapter. And when a teacher starts new chapter, you be at par with teacher while keeping on revising the previous chapter using memory map.
Okay.
Now, this builds the momentum, and this keeps you in touch with what teacher is teaching and also keeps on revising what was done previously. This process is continued, then I think achieving success is a piece of cake. It's not difficult.
Okay. Um, can you describe a period when you had significant doubts about your path and what discovery that you made about yourself during that time and how did you?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question because I chose to do uh, science after 12th standard. Then, as I said, doing pure science is a long drawn battle. Um, the first self doubting mechanism was, of course, during the PhD days. While those were the most wonderful years of my life, my other friends who by that time had either completed their graduation or post graduation had started working and started earning a lot of money. That is when I felt that no, what am I doing? Well, the stipend which I was getting was good enough to support my own self, uh, not to support a family. And that is when I kind of doubted myself. Um, but when I decided to kind of come back to India, uh, the, the exponential progress that I saw after figuring out my ikigai and starting to work on what I like um, has been so exponential that despite getting a job for the first time after almost 7 or 8 years after they did, uh, I think I'm at par with them.
Nice, nice.
Plus, I got the highest degree university can offer. So I think, yeah, it helps. Education helps. So that was the doubt period that I had. But now I can say, or I can give pearls of wisdom to the students that if you are having these self doubts, deal with them. Think the time will take care of it.
Okay. Looking back on your journey from international research to inspiring thousands of students, what legacy would you like to leave? And if you were to be remembered by one word, what would you like it to be?
He was a good teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to leave legacy, but I don't know whether I want people to remember me at all. But if anyone wants to, if they just make a statement that yeah, he was a good teacher, I think that would give me kicks in heaven or hell. Wherever I go, so my friends will be hell, so I would love to go there.
Then you will be sent to heaven because that's not hell. If you could inspire anyone watching with just one deep question about science, learning, or life, what would it be and why?
uh, that's actually pretty deep. Uh, I think everyone does actually. I've thought deeply about myself, and I continue to think. Uh, I think the question to begin with would not be about uh, science for sure. it would be about my own self. And this is a question which I think people should also ask. Uh, what is the purpose of my existence?
Mhm.
Why have I arrived on this planet? This is a question that I try to always answer. Have I found my purpose? And touch wood, I think I have found. And the force exists. I feel that I'm just an instrument delivering what the force wants. So I think um, when I think very deeply about it on a regular basis, um, the purpose that I have right now of teaching the students um, gives me tremendous amount of calmness and happiness and satisfaction.
Mhm.
And I think I would love to do this for the rest of my life. Uh, that is what at least I am saying right now, because that is what I've been doing for past 12, 13 years. Um, and would love to continue doing that until I start thinking in a different way, because every stage of life evolve. But I think I continue to ask that question, and everyone should. What is the purpose? Because again and again, one thing strikes me, that this is just one life that I've got. Initially, it was a filmy line for me, but the more I think, as I start going on the other end of the age, I realize it more deeply. क्या aim क्या है? Yeah, so I think that is one question which people should ask. What is the purpose of your life? Why do you exist?
It's a deep question. And finally, to wrap up with, what's one message of encouragement you would like to share with young learners and or professionals aiming to make an impact in science, education, or other fields?
So if you have figured out science as your area of work and you're doing it passionately, um, I said, I would say to them that uh, work hard with passion. हो जाएगा.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to see more interviews and insights from different fields or any particular job post, if you may, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Let me know if you would like to know any particular industries or guests you want to learn about and in the comments, and see you in the next episode.